State your name and possibly your service number for me.
Yeah, Robert Strain, 3631-3620.
Great.
I haven't even thought about that for years, but I still remember it.
Well, that's good.
Very good.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. Now, which war were you in?
World War II,
World War II? What service of the military?
infantry,
Infantry.
1st Infantry Division, really.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, I was drafted. I was 22 when I went in.
Where were you living at the time?
Greenville, Illinois.
Do you recall your first days of service?
Yeah, pretty much so. Sent me up to Camp Grant. My father was in World War I. He served there too at Camp Grant. That's where he went in, you know. I think he went up to Camp McCoy, Wisconsin later on. It was, we were supposed to take a train at, I think at 1:30 in the morning. It was real winter time, you know, January, about to zero. Train was about 45 minutes late. It was 2:15 when it got in the morning. And we were about froze, you know, and crowded in the depot with a little pot-bellied stove with red hot, but nobody could stay get close enough to get warm very much. Yeah, then I went to Effingham, took a train to Chicago, and we almost missed that one too because it was late like ours. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got there to Chicago on time. We went there by sergeant. First thing he said, "Why are you guys here? Why are you guys late?" Said, "Train just got in." Said, "This is Army. We don't take excuses anymore." I never forgot that. Yeah. So went up to camp. Let's see. What did I say? We went to Rockford. Yeah. I was only there 4 days, and they sent us down to Camp Wheeler, Georgia, for basic training. That's what that was for 4 months. And they sent down to Camp Blanding, Florida, joined the 1st Division. Boy, I didn't know what I was getting into really there. It was like a country club. I never saw, every basic training, you got to stand all these formations and everything. Down there at Fort Benning, nobody paid any attention to anything. They just lolled around. And I thought, don't anybody stand formations around here? He said, no, that's for rookies. We're soldiers here. We don't do that. Yeah, I was there for a little while. I went to Fort Benning for a couple of weeks of training, and then up to Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania for that's the port of debarkation. Went across the ocean on the Queen Mary, the whole 15,000 troops, 1st Division, same time. Left Brooklyn and had ODs, it was hot. Oh, it was hot. About 95 to 100. Got out in the middle of the night, and boy, that cold wind come in, it froze everybody. Glad we had them then. A lot of them got colds, going across there. Yeah, it was something. Anything else you want to know? I don't want to take it away from you. You're supposed to answer the question.
That's fine. Tell me about your boot camp and training experiences.
Well, it was kind of routine there at Camp Wheeler, Macon, Georgia. It was, everybody. I didn't know beans about the Army. I swear I didn't know anything about it. Went in, they kind of trained us all, I never forget there was a sergeant, a Southern sergeant. Me and another guy went to his platoon, he was the head of. He said, "You two boys from Camp Grant, Illinois, are you?" I just liked the way he said it, so then I said, "We better be careful what happens to us." You could tell, he wasn't very happy about that. So I said, "Well, that's where we were inducted. We didn't stay there very long." So otherwise, I guess everything went pretty well, pretty routine there. Got the basics of Army life there. That's what they wanted you to get, And they did a pretty good job of it, Everybody's in the same boat, didn't know much about it mostly. They had to train us all. And we got along all right. I guess as far as I know, it was all right.
After your training, where exactly did you get sent to?
You mean overseas or? Yeah, we went, first we landed there's a little town there in Scotland. Still can't remember the name of it. We're at a bay where the Queen Mary docked out there, all by itself practically. And then they took us on a train from there down to southern England, where we trained for a little while, not too long. Tidworth Barracks, I believe they call it. It's an old army camp. And they sent us back up the same place again and got on that Monarch of Bermuda this time. It was a fancy kind of a travel boat. Went down, I guess, kind of a place they take them back and forth. We took this one down to Oran. That was where we hit the first combat, you might say. Oran, I never even heard of Oran before. It's in between Algiers. It's in Algeria between Casablanca and Algiers. Three big cities. That was all French territory at one time. France controlled it all. Now Arabs are mostly in there now. And we got off the boat. They started shelling the boats. I think they killed a couple of crew members on it. We got off as quick as we could and go up down a little narrow path kind of. We got to have sniper fires in through there. They said everybody spread out and get as far between each other as that. And there's called a Browning automatic rifle. They had one in each company, I know. And those guys were supposed to, be extra, take care of that rifle, And they were exposed because they could, that was a big rifle. They could see it from a distance. And we stopped one time. Everybody hit the deck. And he was way over there about. And I got up. We said, well, I guess we're ready to go. I looked at him. He didn't move. He had a rifle shot right through the forehead. I think because he had that automatic rifle is what did it, Yeah, that was a dangerous job, all right, because, they could see them from a distance. They're pretty good sized rifles. Yeah. That was the first dead casualty I saw in our war, Kind of made an impression on me then, because I wasn't that far away from him, Could hear those bullets going right through, right around there, It was kind of scary for me, but then get used to it after a while, I guess. I was used to anything, maybe. Yeah. Well, we weren't there too long. Oran didn't last long, really. It was a Vichy French, were after there mostly. And we set up camp around there for a little while. Then they moved us to Tunisia next year. That's where I got some real scares in that place. It's not much bigger than Illinois, I guess, but boy, it's kind of wild and, it's kind of like a western badland, a lot of boulders, and it's not, it doesn't look very civilized, to tell you the truth. And we got over there, and I'll never forget one time, they moved us around every night. I don't know why, but they moved us around every night. You'd get in the 2.5-ton trucks, that's where they haul us around in them most of the time. And we were getting ready to move in, just getting off the trucks one time, and there was it was kind of in between cliffs. They weren't high cliffs like out west, but they were enough to, you couldn't hear anything coming. All of a sudden, there was a squadron of planes over us, Somebody said, oh, don't worry, they're ours. And then they started peeling off. They weren't ours. They were Stuka dive bombers, what they were. And they dropped anti-personnel mines, only about 100 pounds, but you don't want to get hit close to them, you can't prove. They killed about a dozen guys that day in the headquarters company. Yeah, after that, boy, I tried to be a lot more careful than I did before. Yeah. And one other time we were dug in, we had usually dig in everywhere you went because you didn't know exactly what was going to happen. It was a nice clear night and out by itself. Nothing going to happen. Well, about 8 o'clock they came along and they moved us out and moved another outfit in. And it's moved in their foxholes. They said, thanks for digging foxholes for us. And about midnight or later that night, a bunch of German tanks came down there and captured all of them. POWs, rest of the war. I think they were Iowa National Guard, as I remember, around Red Oak, Iowa. So it seemed like that's what I remember hearing about it. And I guess they were POWs, rest of the war then. So there was, you never knew what was going to happen around there then, you know. Could happen in a hurry.
What was your job or assignment?
Well, I was with the headquarters company most of the time, you know. First, there's regimental headquarters with 26 regiments where it's first assigned, and they combined them all into division headquarters then, you know. There was 16th, 18th, and 26th regiments, and then, of course, the field artillery units all, and all together, it was the 1st Infantry Division, they called it, you know. We didn't do any flying in those days. The only flying was the Air Force, and we went everywhere by ships or trains or trucks. That's the way we went. Nobody flew anywhere in those days. It was infantry. Yeah.
Were you awarded any medals?
Well, I think I never went in for that much. I got 2 Bronze Stars. I never knew whatever happened to them. I don't ever remember receiving them. I guess I could call, you know, they could give them back, but I don't know. I never was much of a medal man. Like some of them were, they won all the medals they could get. Well, I wasn't into military that much, really. Then we went from Tunisia to Sicily. Did I mention the Sicily? I was there for 3 months. You know, we had a hard time getting up there because the German tanks were zeroed in on us, kind of, and took a lot of doing. Well, we had to get the Air Force. We had to have the Navy help us, you know, blast them back. There was the Navy ships out there in the Mediterranean. They finally got them back, but it was a close call. The German tanks were zeroed in pretty much on us. We got out of there, and I don't know. I didn't care much for Sicily. It's kind of a drag living there for 3 months. I thought we never saw much of it, just the coast there, you know. And because I said that, like on the Mediterranean, most of the population, the cities are along the rim, you know, of the south rim of the Mediterranean for Africa. And then Sicily was kind of on the northern rim. We didn't see much of the country. And then it sent us back to England. This time went to a little town near, well, I don't know where it was near, really wasn't there anywhere. It was called it Wareham was the name of it. And we was out in the country, kind of bivouacked out there. And it was kind of, you know, it wasn't too bad. We was living out there, and I remember, you know, we wanted to do something different to eat, you know. Go into town and got fish and chips. They wrapped them in newspapers, you know. And we drove, I think about 5 miles to hike, and 5 miles back, we had them all eaten up before we got back, you know. But it was worth going for just to have something different to eat, you know. Yeah, we did that several times, I remember.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Well, we didn't very well. You had email, you could call it V-mail. Was it email or email? Email. You could write letters, you know, back and forth, but you know, you weren't supposed to tell anything where you were or what you were doing, you know. There wasn't much you could say, really. Just let them know you was alive and all right, you know. Yeah, he sent a lot of them back, but that was about it. I didn't want to get censored, you know. If they cut you something out of the paper, I didn't write anything I think they'd censor out of it, so you just write a page at a time, that's about it, so.
What was the food like?
Well, different kinds. If you'd out in the field, you get C rations and K rations. You know, C rations, you call it like dog food, what it tasted like. But if you was hungry enough, you'd eat it. You only had to heat it up, so it was just regular can was I started tossing I know what dog food tastes like, but I figured something like that. And the K rations were kind of little bars. Later on, they had them, and they weren't too tasty either, to tell you the truth. It's kind of fruity taste, I guess, but you know, it's supposed to be healthy and keep you alive anyway. So we had a lot of them, but after you got into Europe, things got a little better. We got better rations over there and all.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes and no. And again, we did. You know, the supply sergeants, they were kind of
I don't know why. You had to bribe them really to give them something, decent to wear. Of course, they got to shoot everything else. And I had a pair of shoes that half soled were flapping on them, They was going to put me on patrol this one night, and I walked along and made so much noise. Lieutenant said, "Well, you can't go on with it." He said, get that supply to tell him to give you a pair of shoes that will fit you, good work shoes. So he did after that. I don't know. At least I got out of patrol that night. Yeah. It's one thing I remember, a supply sergeant in France. He's a real good guy, He's a decent guy, and everybody liked him. He was sleeping by himself in a tent there, brother. And the German 88s, were hidden in these hedgerows. You could hardly see them, They just had them camouflaged. This one was, you could hear the muzzle blast going. It wasn't very far away, and you hear the shell going over, This one time, the shell didn't, drop. It wasn't right shell, I guess. It just fell on this guy's tent and killed him. He was the only one to kill by that shell. Everybody hated that because he was a real nice guy. Some of them weren't, Some of those mess sergeants, they were devils, some of them. But he was, get a guy like that, you hate to see anything happen to him because he's a real good guy. Yeah.
Was there anything special you did for good luck?
No, just prayed, I guess, about it. Hope for the best, No, I didn't have any good luck charms or anything.
How did people entertain themselves?
Well, they didn't have much entertainment that I can remember. They'd have, if it was in like off base or you're not in the field somewhere, they could have dances and stuff. They had dance band, could play for them. But, that was pretty late in the war for anything like that to happen. Old guys played cards, I remember on a ship, there's a whole bunch of them shooting craps, They had all kinds of money, Lira and francs and marks. I said they'd about like a bunch of international bankers. They knew how much each one was worth. They knew when it come to playing cards or gambling how much it was worth. I got a kick out of that. Oh, shoot.
Did you get any leave while you were in service?
No, I never was home. I was in 6 months in the States, then I was overseas I was in service 44 months, so I've been overseas 38 months. I never did get back home. Got close one time when Mac from Chicago put us in a Pullman from Chicago down to St. Louis and down to Macon, Georgia. And that's where we got off for the Camp Wheeler. That was at Camp Wheeler, Georgia. It was only 50 miles from home, but that's no good. I didn't get off the train, so it didn't help me much. Down Union Station, St. Louis. That was early in the war, anyway.
Were there any pranks pulled?
Oh, I suppose there was. I don't recall too many of them, really. Now, it was kind of a routine business, They were. I don't recall hardly any pranks on anybody.
Did you have any photographs?
Well, I did have. My mother made. She kept a scrapbook all of it, but they all passed on. I think my cousin up near Rockford, she's got all that now. She kind of had she lived at Greenville at the time, so she knew the family real good, and she's taking care of it now. I said, anything you want, take it up there because I can't keep it here, And so whatever we got, it's up there now because she takes an interest in it, And I'm glad she does because it saved that much, Because my family's about gone. There isn't any brothers or sisters, see. And, there isn't much of my family left. It's cousins and then no nieces or nephews, so it's just cousins now. They're about a lot younger than me, most of them, all of them. Right. So,
What did you think of your fellow soldiers?
Oh, they were okay. I had a buddy that lives in Indianapolis. He's still alive, and he sends me Christmas cards he's older than I am, so he's about 90 years old now. And he still writes. He doesn't write much. He says, "Well, I'm still here." And then he signs his name, and then he still writes me. Yeah, I was with him most of the time in the service, after I got in the 1st Division. Yeah, he was a good buddy. Still, I live at the same address there in Indianapolis.
Did you keep a personal diary while you were in service?
No, I didn't. They didn't. I don't think they cared too much for you to do it either. Afraid they might fall in the wrong hands or something somewhere. Well, you cannot do it anyway. You're just moving around all the time. I just remember certain places I was, and can't remember too many dates on it. And this place, we got bombed with Stukas that time. That was in March of 1943. I kind of remember that date. It stuck in my mind, Yeah, I think it was about 21st of March back in 43. See, we were in England 2 different times. We first landed there and then back this time, and then took us down to Plymouth, went to D+7. I went in our D+1. It was the 7th day of June. The 16th Regiment of the 1st Division hit the Omaha Beach, right. They hit the beach themselves, and the 29th Division was with them. And the guy at Greenville behind him, I really didn't know the man. He was in the 29th Division. They never did hear from him again, so he got killed in the invasion. He was a school teacher back there. I didn't really know him, but they put that division in with the 1st, and kind of balance them out on the Green Division and 1st Division. Of course, they'd been in a lot of combat, so yeah, you never knew. In fact, that BAR I was talking about, that fellow had, and there was a guy in our landing boat had one too, and they told him, "Don't ever let that lose that BAR." And he stepped off that, and the guy thought it was a lot closer to the shore. It was. He went down there, and he never did come back. He just disappeared from carrying that BAR. So he was a war casualty, no doubt about it. He saved the BAR, but that was it,
That's the Browning rifle, automatic rifle.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yeah. It was September I went in January 23rd, 42, got out September 21st, 45. Like 2 days of being 44 months active duty. And they gave you a lot of, they saved the points, they called them, for being overseas and being sort of, I had all kinds of points. I got out, no doubt about me getting out, because I had all these points, And, a lot of them they were planning to send them to the Pacific, after VE Day, yeah. They were going to send them over to the Pacific, and they were even getting in the naval units, assigning them to go to Japan, fight in Japan, So, they were lucky they didn't have to go, I'll tell you.
What did you do the days and weeks after your service ended?
Well, I went to school at Milliken, up Decatur, I was a little late getting up there, but they took me all right, and I went to Milliken University, graduated in 1950. It was something different in the Army, I'll tell you. I had to watch my language all the time. Afraid to say something I shouldn't. It was kind of, after a while, you're so used to talking that way, you got to be careful when you get around other people, because they don't play, doesn't go good with them, I enrolled in a German course there. Lady Rat, she was a crackerjack teacher. She wrote the textbook even, And I had a little pamphlet the Army gave, when you went into Germany, told you how to speak German, kind of just to. She never smiled, but she just broke down laughing reading that thing. Said you're supposed to learn how to talk like you're getting ready to spit, She said, "We never heard that in a textbook." Write something down like that. Yeah.
What did you study there?
I took history and political science. Yeah. I tried to figure out where I was, what happened to me during the service all the time. It took trying to figure out what happened, all those times. Because I know what was going on. I really didn't know where I was all the time. You just moving around all the time. This town in Belgium we stayed in for a while. It was just east of Liège. That's a big Belgian city, and the Germans were buzz bombing that. Buzz bombings. They just went over every few minutes. I know around Christmas Day, I think they'd been every 5 minutes you hear one of those buzz bombs. They'd go right over. You could see them. They were in plain sight. Some guys tried to shoot at them. Don't do that. So don't want to duck them down here. But they really, they did a lot of damage in Liège because they just kept doing it so much that if they hit a house, they destroy a house and do damage to each one on each side. That's about the way they were. They weren't really powerful, but just the fact that they're going over all the time gets on your nerves. And I know the people living there, it must be bad for them because you never know when one's going to come down on you. Well, I was going to tell you that time we had Stuka dive bombers after they bombed us. Later on, the next day they had a bunch going over the artilleries down the road a few, and they just sent them 3 at a time down on the artillery. The middle one had a siren going on. Can you imagine? And I said it was kind of funny living out there, but I can imagine in a city, with civilians and all, have that plane with a siren coming and knowing it's going to drop bombs on you. That'd be terrifying, wouldn't it? I'd say it sure would. And they did that too on cities. I heard that's the way they like to bomb cities, just scare people, terror, I guess you'd call it, more or less. Well, I'll tell you, the last place I was over there was Pilsen, Czechoslovakia. When you get ready to take you back, they just keep moving you around to different units, and I ended up in the 16th Armored Division. I didn't know anything about it, but they moved me over to Pilsen, Czechoslovakia. Well, there's big pictures of Joseph Stalin all over the city, It was that close to Russia, I guess under Russian control, really. And I didn't see anything but Stalin's pictures. And they get on these 40 and 8 trains, they used to call them, 40 men and 8 horses back in World War I. Well, there weren't any horses, but there's a lot of, we just riding a troop train back to what they were, And there's one thing that happened on there. I saw this guy sitting, they were sitting there in a kind of open door, And there was an old lady down in a field down there. She's working on her garden, And this one guy, he pulled out a pistol, He turned to that guy and said, "Well, watch me plug that old lady down there." And the guy said, "Oh, don't do that. She's probably somebody's grandmother." I think he just shot him, that guy. If that guy hadn't talked him out of it. See, the war was over, but, they were they're so used to killing and all that thing, it just ingrained in you after a while. Yeah, it's one of those things, you never know. And after the war ended, the thing surprised me, everybody turned their lights on. Cities, towns, all. During the war, you never saw any lights anywhere at night. Everything was blacked out. And then all of a sudden, there used to be a song when the lights came in all over the world. I always remember that, too, because surely odd to see a lot of lights shining all over everywhere. Street lights and, lights everywhere all of a sudden.
Did you make any close friendships when you were in service?
Well, this kid he was a kid then, Indianapolis, he's about 90 years old now, and he's still in touch with me, sending cards every Christmas. That's the only time I hear from him. Yeah, he's a widower, and, I think he had one son. He's kind of alone now, living alone there. And, yeah, I never did see him after he got out of the Army, though.
After you graduated, what career did you go into?
Well, I really didn't go. I thought about going into teaching, but I decided not to, and I really wasn't be cut out to be a teacher, to tell you the truth, I don't think. My father was a teacher, and I heard all the troubles he had with it. So I just got a variety of jobs, really. I didn't even take anything really permanently, and I had a degree, but I didn't know what to do with it, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't have minded being a college teacher, I don't think, but I'd have to go to school a lot more for that, you know. But I enjoyed it there at Milliken. It's kind of a, you know, it was back in those days. It was just like it had always been, you know. There were GIs coming in, a lot of them, you know, but right then there weren't too many there, and it's just kind of something different. That's what I wanted. That's really I went there, and I really enjoyed it for a while. Anyway.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war today?
Well, I don't think much of war, I'll tell you that. You know, that World War I was supposed to be the war end war, and as far as that, it just started a bunch of new ones, it seemed to me like. I don't know. Yeah, well, World War II, I guess, was pretty necessary after Pearl Harbor. But I don't think it's the last ones we have, and I think it's kind of a bad thing to get into these, like Korea and Vietnam and over there at Baghdad and all those, Iraq, you know, it just kind of promotes more wars. We get into them once in a while. I kind of wonder what's going to happen over there now. You never know. And it's really tough, you know, when these guys over there fighting. It's no picnic when you're in a war. And I know it wouldn't be over there. That heat terrible, you know, 100 and some degrees, and wearing all that protective clothing you got to wear. It'd be awful, I think. Yeah, it sure would. Of course, like I said, now they fly everywhere they go about, you know, from here over there, Germany, or wherever they go, they fly everywhere now. And back in my day, they took trains and ships, and like I said, 2.5 ton trucks usually. Right? It's the way we traveled in those days. So I wouldn't know exactly how things are anymore in the service. I know it's changed a lot. World War II was a lot different than World War I, too, you know. That was back when the infantry walked all the way everywhere about. And World War II was kind of motorized, you know. Hitler had all these blitzkriegs get on and took over these countries so fast they didn't know what was happening to somebody. It was a lot different back in those days.
Do you attend any reunions?
No, I never have. I really haven't kept up much with the division. I know they're fighting over there now. I think the first division's over there in Iraq, I believe. I see pictures of them with a big red one on them, so I know that's part of the division, you know. I don't remember we've had any reunions around here close. You know, they have them all over all the time, I know, but I've never checked on them real close.
Well, is there anything you'd like to add that we haven't covered in the interview?
Well, not especially. Like I said, it's quite an experience, but at the time I could do without it, but then after it's over, you know, you stop to think about it. It was really something. For all those things that happened, you know, it's just places you'd never seen otherwise if you hadn't been in the war. It was, as long as you survived it, you can't complain about that, you know. Like I've lived here almost 24 years now in this veterans home. That's a long time to be in one spot. For me, that's the longest I was there in one town.
Yeah. Alrighty, thanks for doing the interview,
Okay,
and
well,
thanks for
thank you.
serving the country too.
Thank you.